All right. I'm recording too. Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh. Okay, this is the part where we have to start talking now because otherwise we're all just going to sit here. And if people are just tuning in for the first time, they'll be like, who are these two girls that are just making weird sounds?
What are we talking about?
Welcome to Wingin It. Let me do the obligatory intro because people got to know. They got to recognize. Welcome to Wing It, the West Wing Podcast. My name is Andrea. This is Sallie. Hey, welcome. And we have made it to the end of season 2.
I'm not going to make it past that, though. I died.
You died or did other people? Like, we all,
I died emotionally.
Oh, my gosh. I can't. Okay, sorry. Welcome. Glad you're listening. Let's all talk about How are we going to talk about this episode? There's so much. Is there even a better hour of television? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. But I don't even know where to start. I know we've said that so many times, but I think this episode is widely regarded as like so many people's favorite. Or not even favorite, but just like a pinpoint moment. Yeah.
Okay, should we sing? I don't know. Like we didn't sing the last time.
I know, because we couldn't bring ourselves to. I still feel the same way.
It's like the melody has left us. Like we have no music in our hearts right now.
I'm sorry, guys. It wouldn't set the tone right.
Yeah, we would be singing like a funeral dirge.
It would be
I don't know. I mean, do we even need to recap what happens? Okay, so the thing that happens is that in the last episode, Mrs. Laningham died. And then this is her funeral and also the day that they're going to tell America about Bartlett's MS. You know, good timing. And the real question is whether Bartlett is going to run for a second term. So it's just action-packed. There's a high stakes here, people. Couldn't be any higher, perhaps.
Yep. So... right. I mean, there's other things going on, but that's what you need to know. The thing about this episode is that, because I know we're all like, oh, so many emotions, like there's too much going on, da-da-da. They're really, like, in comparison to the first season finale, there are not nearly as many emotions for me, but there's something just about the whole episode that's like, I don't know if it's intense doesn't seem to be the right word, but it's so good the whole time. And it's so, because it's not like boohoo sad or like dramatic or anything like that. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a different kind of feeling, a different kind of emotion for me than like the first season finale or even the first 2 episodes of this season. Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
There are other West Wing moments where I'm like, but this one's just like, oh, it's so good. I don't know.
Like, I really wish that my brother, Chad, or Scott, I really wish that he watched The West Wing. And it's been really an uphill battle trying to get him to watch. And I feel like if I could show him this episode, then he would get it. Well, he wouldn't get the humor because there's really almost none to be had in this one. But I think he would, be hooked, but I can't jump the shark. I can't possibly bring him in at this point.
You can't. Where do we, all right.
Okay, well
let's
just
start.
It's like a, when Christmas lights get all like in a big tangled ball and you just kind of have to like start pulling at a strand. I kind of feel like we just need to start pulling at a strand.
All right.
So.
All right.
Is there anything we disliked? I don't know. Things we didn't care about or things we had questions about?
I don't know. I don't want to start with that because I love this episode too much for if I immediately come out with like, I didn't feel great about this, everyone's going to hate me. So let's start with things we liked.
Fair enough.
Well, everything. Okay.
Liked but not loved? That was like a 10 things I hate about you moment. I love my Prada backpack.
Eventually we just have to pick something. Okay. I love throughout the episode, I think that, and clearly, I feel like everything sounds so redundant because it's so obvious that everyone does a great job, but just rewatching the episode, I'm always struck by how perfectly everybody acts it, or everybody acts in the episode. Like, the looks on and I'm talking like the staff, not just Bartlett, because Bartlett's story with Miss Laningham is a whole other thing. But like every moment, Sam, Josh, Toby, CJ, their facial expressions, the way they deliver the lines, it's so perfect for like, there are moments, it's so perfect to show like dealing with grief, but like having to move on with your life too at the same time. But because there are moments, even the opener is a good example of this. Leo is talking to these two dudes about the MS and what they're going to do. And Leo's normally pretty, fiery about things. Like, he'll, be quippy and, like, banter back with these kind of people. But he's sort of looking at them like, what are we even talking about? And it's that style that I love. There's another scene with all the senior staff sitting around in Toby's office, and they're all, like, talking through these things. But you can tell that at some moments they're thinking, why are these things, what are we doing? Why does this keep going on when something so terrible has happened? Like, I don't know. I just think they do a great job of that.
Oh, man. Yes. Yes, they do, Sally. That is a very good point.
Yeah.
I have like 3 pages of notes. I should probably read them. I guess like random, like little quips here and there. CJ tells Josh like, I figured since it was a light day, maybe blow off work and go shopping. That's funny.
Yeah, Sam has a moment like that where he says something's wrong, and CJ says like, I can't remember exactly what they say, but he's like, I have a problem, and CJ's like, that's almost hard to believe.
Yeah, it's a light day.
It's funny.
And gosh, yeah, it's just there's not a lot of levity pretty much anywhere.
We just gotta. All right, let's talk about the flashbacks.
Yeah, let's talk.
That'll give us
let's talk about the flashbacks.
A starting off point.
Yes.
Okay, how do you feel about the flashbacks?
I don't know. I appreciated it because it was kind of like cleansing of the palate, where I knew that I would need my emotions elsewhere, so I didn't really care about this. I mean, I care because it's like, it's good to see the backstory. And I'm not sure before this episode just how much we knew about their relationship, about Mrs. Laningham and President Bartlett, and how far back it went. So it's revelatory. Obviously, it shows the strained relationship between Jed and his father. And interesting fact that I learned from Twitter. I love that there are people on the internet who listen to us. It's so fun. Yeah, Lawrence O'Donnell played Jed's dad, and he's an executive producer on the show. Did you know that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, he is. So,
That's crazy.
Kind of reminds me of Kevin Kline. So that was an interesting tidbit to learn. I will say about the flashbacks, the vocal inflection, the emulation of Mrs. Laningham by the younger iteration of Mrs. Laningham, I don't know how I feel about that.
No?
No.
Okay. I think it's like a smidge much.
Me too.
But on the same side, I also think she nails it at some points.
Yes.
Because then, like, I'm thinking it's a bit much, but then Miss Laningham comes in the end, actual real Miss Laningham, or dream, whatever, we'll talk about that, comes at the end, and I'm like, oh no, it really is that, like, blatant. It's that out there of an act, it's that extreme of an accent, and I do think she. So then once I hear Miss Laningham talk, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a hard thing to get down, and I think sometimes it's a little over the top, but I think overall the casting I think was really good. Yes,
I agree, and obviously that's the director's choice, but I still felt like we could have understood that it was her without that. I just don't know. I don't know. It was a little bit distracting for me, is I guess what it came down to. But
it was a little. I could see that. Yeah.
But
what did you think about young Jed?
We should look him up. I don't know who the heck he is or what he's doing. I mean, I thought he did okay. I don't know. What'd you think? I didn't have a strong feeling about it.
I think that casting flashback characters is a really difficult thing to do.
Yes. Every time I've done it.
And, I mean, I think he does a good job. I think he does as good a job as you can do playing a young Martin Sheen, you know?
Sure. Yeah, I had no problem with it. So I guess he was good. It wasn't, I believed it, and that's really the most important part. I thought that the young Mrs. Laningham looked a lot like Jessica Chastain, but I tried to do the math. It's not Jessica Chastain, right? No. She'd be way too...
No.
That when the age wouldn't work. But beautiful. No. Great actress.
Okay, so these flashbacks in relation to... Or if you had to rate and compare to last... I keep wanting to say last season finale, but it's not. It's the first 2 episodes of this season. Do you like these better or less than... flashing back to, like, all of our staffers getting to know each other?
I think I liked the ones with all the other staffers better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is almost not a fair comparison, because that has all of the people that we know.
Apples and oranges.
Love, and this is just 2.
A little bit.
Yeah. But still, in general, it's hard to pull off flashbacks, so I think it's interesting that they've done it in a way that I don't hate more than once.
Yeah, and they just do little short snippets. It wasn't too over-involved. Right. Do we need to say anything else about the father-son relationship? I don't know. Because it was 2 cathedrals, right? So they found the cigarette in the first cathedral in the flashback, and then obviously the second cigarette, but in the cathedral.
I'm not going to lie to you. I have never even wondered what the 2 cathedrals title was about.
Me neither, but I
guess I get so distracted by the show. I'm just like, oh, okay, 2 cathedrals, yeah.
Yeah, there weren't...
I guess that's it.
Yeah, I mean, what else would it be? I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, man. Okay.
I don't know. The father-son relationship was... Obviously, it's important for President Bartlett's backstory. It's going to come up again. Like,
oh, yeah, well.
It makes a big difference. I have 2 feelings about it.
Okay.
I almost feel like, I don't know. I hate to say stuff like this because I'm not a writer. What do I know? I mean, I'm not like I'm not Aaron Sorkin, I'm nowhere near that level. But it almost felt like a little much on top of everything else that was happening.
Yeah.
Like it could have been a juicier and more well-developed, and obviously it gets developed more later in the series, a little bit, but... It felt like an odd place for it to go. Because also, we could have had the same bond of he and Miss Laningham without bringing that in.
It's true. I don't know. It kind of felt like they were just taking advantage of the fact that it was a flashback. And maybe he was setting up, his daddy issues for, I don't know if it's next season or the season after, though.
I can't remember.
I don't remember. But they're
I would have
there. He's there. He's there at that school. So it's kind of like, well, should we also include something about the dad, or should we just make it about?
Having included it, I sort of wish that like it could have tied in with Miss Laningham better. Like that maybe because like the end of the storyline is that he doesn't go to ask him about it, and I mean he does, but then he doesn't, and like I don't feel like Miss Laningham, like, I don't want to say saved him enough, but it would have been a more interesting storyline if she were, like, the force that empowered him to stand up to his dad and to know, like, if she had said the thing about your dad was a selfish, whatever she said at the end, if she had said that however long ago and been putting that in his head from the beginning and helped deal with the daddy issues however many years ago, then that would have made more sense. It would have tied in more, I guess. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It felt a little discombobulated.
But there are plenty of things we love about this episode.
I know. Let's name all the things that we love.
I mean, the monologue. Let's just talk about the monologue because it's the writing itself is amazing. The acting is amazing. The cinematography, like the shot, the camera angles, all of it is in perfect harmony. It's like a visual, emotional orchestra of West Wing goodness.
It really, really is. What's your favorite line from the monologue?
Oh man, that's a great question. Oh, well, I wrote down a couple of them. I mean, what was Josh Lyman? A warning shot?
Yeah.
Gosh.
When he says, that was my son, that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I think one of the big ones is, well, everyone, of course, remembers you get
Feckless
hoins.
thug?
And yeah, have I displeased you, you feckless thug? That's a pretty, they're all just so, yeah, I mean, the writing is just wonderful. I feel like I have nothing else to add except that, like you said, it's just, the whole scene is perfectly orchestrated. Like, they're just running on all cylinders. It's, man.
I mean,
my favorite shot is when he's walking down the aisle from the very, very back, and you can see the whole cathedral in the back of him, like right at the beginning.
Yes.
That
shot.
That's so good.
I'm gonna have to try to get that for the Instagram's account because it's so good.
It's so
and
great.
I feel like, and this is my theory, but I feel like people really connect with this monologue, not just because all those things are working in perfect harmony and creating this beautiful scene, but I feel like people really connect with it because it's so honest. And I feel like there aren't as many pictures on film or TV of people really wrestling with this issue that I think every human deals with. Like, no matter where you are in your like personal beliefs or your like view of God, but like it's so bold, and you see Bartlett, who is a devout man, who is generally very reverent, smoking a cigarette and cursing in a cathedral, and just being gut level honest with God. And I think that, in my opinion, that's what real prayer is. And I think people really connect with it because it's just so human, and it's something that a lot of people can connect with. And there's not a lot of resolution. You know, it's not prescriptive. It's not, he doesn't come to this like Full House moment where the strings start playing and he's like, well, you know, and like some light comes in through the window and a bird lands and it's like, everything's going to be okay. It's like, no, like this is just, I mean, he does have that moment toward the end with Mrs. Laningham, and, you know, he kind of gets, he gets to that point where she says, you know, like God doesn't, you know, what does she say? Like, God doesn't run red lights.
She says, like, God doesn't crash cars or something.
Yeah, and you know it. And I loved, I did like just the way that she spoke so much truth and encouragement to him. And she helped him to be more of who he actually is. Because in that moment, she's like, you know, if you don't want to run, I respect that. But if you don't run because it's too hard or whatever, like, I don't even want to know you. Like, that is a good friend. Ugh.
Yeah, that's one of my it's a repeated line, but it's one of my favorites from the episode. And God, Jed, I don't even want to know you.
Yeah,
I think that I agree with almost everything about with everything that you said about the monologue. I think to add to it, I think people liked the shock value of it too. That because, like you said, you hadn't seen it, and so when you're hearing it, you're like, he said what?
Yeah.
And
I'm sure some people didn't
I think
like
it's interesting.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's very divisive, but it's so good.
Yeah, but in the best way. Oh, man. Golly. I like everything about it. I like, and Claire on Twitter said the thing about, and this has been mentioned many times by many people, but that one of the things you like about Sorkin is that he trusts the audience to get the scene when the person speaking the monologue speaks entirely in Latin for several lines with no subtitles.
Although I did just tweet the video.
I didn't understand any of that, but like you get the gist of it, and you like get what he's saying without knowing what he's saying, and that's how you know that, man, this is working. Like, whatever, this writing, the acting, everything is working if you can pull that kind of scene off.
Yeah, I really feel like this...
I feel that way about a lot of it.
I feel like this episode alone elevated the level of intelligence in television. I mean, honestly, to do something like that is pretty ballsy. And...
oh, yeah.
obviously, people can handle it because it's... I mean, not everybody likes this kind of thing. Not everybody watches The West Wing, which is strange and confusing. But you know what I mean? Like,
crazy.
Yeah. To each his own. They're crazy. But, so, Yeah, it's just a piece of art. This episode is so artful and so well done. Yeah. So I wonder if there are awards for this one, you know? Like,
oh, I'm sure there are. What I said a second ago is that, like, that's how you know it's well done, is if they can pull things off like that. And I feel that way about the flashbacks, and I feel that way about the scene with Miss Laningham. Flashbacks, and so, like, the scene with Miss Laningham, he's not actually talking to Miss Laningham. So it's some sort of mix of, like, he's talking to her in his head, because at one point they show him in an empty chair, and it's not a dream, but it's like a daydream. I'm not sure, but it's not something that I have ever liked in any other TV show.
Sure.
Using that as a device, because I'm thinking, okay, well, like, it's not actually, you know, it's a little crazy for you to be having an entire conversation in your head with this person, especially even talking to the chair. Like, the realist in me usually doesn't take that or let that do whatever. I don't know, but it works in this episode. Like, I don't have those thoughts because the writing is so well done, and Martin Sheen and I don't know Miss Laningham's real name. Anyway, the acting is so great.
Catherine Wooten.
The acting is just so great that it doesn't even bother me. And same with flashbacks. It's so hard to make scenes like that work. And in this episode, they work. And that's what is so impressive to me. Like, at the end of that scene, I'm not thinking, that was weird. I'm thinking, that was so good.
Yeah. I think even the weather part. Because for me, sometimes when I when I watch something and it's like, oh, it's raining. You know, and you're like, really? It's raining because it's raining emotionally? Like, you're like, all right. But this is like a huge tropical storm. And it's like, like, what are the freaking odds? But it adds to his frustration, and he actually asks, like, what are the odds? And poor Donna is, like, pulled in to, like, talk about the weather. I'm like, this is kind of random. She got assigned to talk about why the weather is the way it is right now. And you kind of wonder, like, how much time did she spend to prepare for this little tiny assignment from the president, who probably just wanted peace of mind more than anything? But, you know, did she spend half her day? And it was, like, so short. It's like 2 seconds. I don't know. Just kind of curious.
Yeah. I think she probably spent a good deal. If it were me, I would spend a whole ton of time. Because you just want to be prepared for anything he might ask you.
Yeah, that would be the worst.
Donna also had a good scene with Josh. And she sounded like she didn't have a voice in this scene. Yeah. But it's when Leo and President Bartlett are, like, deciding about whether to run. And she's asking Josh. She says, like, 2 people in a matter of minutes. This is how it works.
Yeah. That's how it works.
And that was a good little scene. There was a lot of little, like, understated.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's very calm and, like, except for Sam, who is sassy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
He's super sassy.
So he's meeting with the Democratic Party strategists, and they're talking about the other potential Democratic candidates should Bartlett decide not to run. And he says, okay. And then they start kind of be like, oh, you know, sorry, we're not being disrespectful. He says, when I say okay, that means that's it. Close your notebooks. And I mean, that's one instance. But the second one, where he completely yells at CJ, I mean, like, it's ugly. It's way too salty. I mean.
Yeah, he says, because I got shouted down the first 3 times, and I work here just like you do.
Yeah.
And then he says something after that was even more sassier, but I can't remember. It's just like, I can't remember what he said after that. But he also, in that first one, said President Bartlett's not a candidate. He's the president.
Yeah.
And he's just, I like that. So, like, he is handling it that way. I like that we can, like, see how it's manifesting in Sam. Josh is trying to get stuff done. That's how it's, like, coming out in Josh. The grief of all this, and just not even just Miss Laningham. I mean, Miss Laningham is a huge part of it, but the uncertainty and the stress of the MS, that's how those things are coming out in them. Toby's just Toby.
Well, so Leo sets up a meeting for Toby with this, like, this broadcast, what is it, TV show? I don't know, like a news network.
I guess so.
And they want him to be the news director. And he is, like, Toby's so mad. He's so mad that he's like, I want to rip Leo's arms off. And
beat him.
Yikes. Yeah, I would not want to cross paths with an angry Toby. But yeah, they're all like on pins and needles waiting to find out if Bartlett's going to run again. You know, if they have a job, but not even just if they have a job, but like what is he going to do? Like what kind of man is he going to be in this moment? So, talk about a stressful day. Really?
Yeah. We have a great scene with Josh and CJ. Josh is still fighting the tobacco thing.
Yeah.
And he writes, I think it was a press release about it, about like needing more money and calling on Congress and all that kind of stuff. And CJ reads it out loud, and it is also very sassy.
Yeah.
And it's really fiery, and CJ's sort of like, yeah, we can't send this. And he says the line, let Bartlett be Bartlett.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they have to hold on to it. But that was interesting. I just like seeing Josh fired up, like that little spark in his eye of like, this is what we should be doing kind of thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like CJ and Josh are the only non-angry members of the senior staff. I mean, it's like the communications department, like Toby and Sam are just so passionate and are so like quick to be angry. And right now, Josh and CJ are like the more even keel about everything else. It's kind of weird that they've got kind of like teams.
What else? There's asbestos in the East Room, which is convenient because it sets up
the
big room
montage
full of people in the rain and all that jazz.
And the Dire Strait song playing in the background.
Oh, yeah. I'm not mad about that.
Yeah. It was cool. It's called Brothers in Arms. If you're feeling like you need a new song for when you're needing to walk into an important moment in your life, just put on Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits and get your hair wet and put your hands in your pockets.
I thought it was perfect. I wonder if people have ever like laid different songs over there to see like what something else would have sounded like or like looked like, you know?
Kind of like that.
Just because it's a great song, but it's a little like, it's not like crazy well known. It's not, I don't know. I would be interested, and not in like a joke way, like not in like a, play like something ridiculous. Yeah, not like that, but like genuinely, are there other songs that would have been, because I really like the song, but I almost wonder if there's something else that would have been even better.
Well,
anyway,
I wonder what else was on the short list. We should reach out to the music supervisor and see if they remember what else was on the short list.
Yeah, we should.
It'd be funny if it was in a New York Minute again. Ooh, everything has changed. Yeah, or I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, because that's appropriate for all seasons, or any sort of Celine Dion song. Now I'm thinking about all the different options that we could have had.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was thinking of, because I love a good musical moment. And I think this is one. Let me just reiterate that for the third or fourth time. I think it's great, but it just made me curious to see.
Yeah. Other random factoids. Jason from Twitter said that you can lay the Washington Monument down on its side inside the National Cathedral. That's how big it is.
Don't they say that in this episode?
I don't know. I don't remember that.
I thought maybe I just totally made that up.
That's a random thing to make up.
I know. I thought Bartlett said it to Charlie or something.
Maybe.
I am really inventive.
Yeah, I know. I don't question it.
I really definitely could have made that up.
Well, all to say, the cathedral is beautiful. Like, even the first shot of it outside and inside.
Almost looks fake because it's so pretty. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went to a cathedral in Glasgow in Scotland that was quite fetching. They're so beautiful.
Which I think I wrote down that like there are a lot of perks to being president, and we've talked about them before, but having the entire National Cathedral to yourself would definitely be one of them. Like, hey, can you just clear the room for me?
Yeah. The other part that's weird as a president is that everybody stands up when you walk by, even in this episode. It's kind of like it's like the wave at baseball games. You know? He just walks by and everybody stands up. That's got to be kind of weird. At a certain point, you might just be like, all right, just, today, just don't stand up. I don't feel like doing the wave.
Yeah. It is a little odd.
Oh, man. I mean, there's so many, like, tiny moments where, like, Bartlett walks past the empty desk where Mrs. Laningham would be. And just, like, the way that he looks at it and just tells Charlie, like, oh, they need pallbearers. I'm like, gosh.
The computer screen in that looks super fake to me, though. Leave it to me to be like, oh, it's a great emotional moment, but no, the empty desk is kind of is a huge thing.
Oh, man. Yeah. Dr. Bartlett.
Let's just talk about, I love the moment, the Dire Strait song, Brother in Arms, we're walking in, we're soaking wet. Well, I feel kind of indifferent about the being soaking wet. Because
it's pretty dramatic.
He's soaking wet. He's just announced he has MS. And he pauses for the longest time.
They think he's having an episode.
After they ask. Like, not even like, it's not like a dramatic pause. It's like are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, have you
spell?
lost your mind? Are you having an episode right now?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's just a little.
It was
much
for dramatic effect, Sally. It was
like, which I totally get, but like
it was a slow pitch.
Just like 2 beats shorter would have been better. Like,
we'll put a call into Tommy Schlamme.
I sort of have always wished that in the season finale, because by this point we know he's going to say yes. Yeah. Like, we know he's going to run again. So I sort of wish that they had that moment. Like, let him not pause for as long. I hope Aaron Sorkin is listening to this and taking notes on all of the things that I'm telling him should have been better, because I'm a terrible person. Anyway, I sort of wish that they'd had that moment where he says yes and everyone freaks out. Me too. Because I love that moment in the next episode. And even that would still have been a great place to end. Yeah. Like, cutting it off right there would have been, like, fun.
Yeah, because we know at this point, there's really no question other than the actual.
No, there's not a question.
Words. I did love the moment where Leo's looking at the screen and just his face, and he's like, "Watch this." I mean, it's just I loved it.
I love that. His face in that moment is great when he like turns or he like whips his head around. It's really great. Yeah. Also, by the way, it is storming incredibly hard right now. Oh, so if you guys hear thunder in the background. Like, in my real life, right this moment, it is storming, like, tropical storm style.
Maybe Mrs. Laningham's
gonna... it's really funny because, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. We're recording this episode, and I feel like I'm in it.
Okay, well, if the door opens with a draft and an old lady walks in, I think we should stop recording because there might be problems.
Anyway, all of that to say, because I wrote down Bartlett's too cool for school. He doesn't need his jacket, Charlie, because Charlie offers him jacket and he doesn't take it. But all of that to say, like, he actually seems a little crazy. I appreciate all of the dramatic effect, but when he's just standing there looking at all the reporters and he's not saying anything, I'm like, dude.
Speak up. Oh, gosh. Yeah. I would love to hear what Martin Sheen thought when he first read the monologue. I would love to be a fly on the wall for that first table read. I think if we get any cast members from who had been in that episode at some point, if we can interview them, I'd love to hear their memories of certain table reads, including Two Cathedrals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'd be interesting. I know that I read somewhere, although I can't find it now, but I heard that, like, while they were shooting in the National Cathedral, that Martin Sheen, or maybe it was Aaron Sorkin, somebody, like, warned a priest or somebody there that they were going, that he was like, you know, like, this is what we're about to say.
I think Kevin said that. I think Kevin's the one who told us that.
Oh, maybe so. So that's an interesting backstory, talking about, like, how did they feel about it when they read it? For him to be like, him to be tentative about it, or like feel like he maybe was not so sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder if people have used that monologue for auditions. I wouldn't be surprised. It might.
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
It might be a good one. I don't know.
On Inside the Actors Studio,
my favorite
James
show
Lipton
ever.
told Martin Sheen that this episode was one of the best episodes in the history of American television, and I would wholeheartedly agree.
How have I not watched Martin Sheen on Inside the Actors Studio? It's really one of my favorite shows.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go watch that right now.
So let's talk about the funeral a little, because I just adore that Charlie read something, and I I mean, I don't love it, but like the boys carrying the casket, the boys, like the boys, Josh and Toby and John, like everybody carrying the casket is emotional. I don't know, the whole thing. Although I do wish. Golly, I'm gonna stop criticizing it any minute now. I do wish that like
Sallie's
more
only
people,
way of like dealing with her feelings is criticizing it.
I wish that more people were crying in the episode.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair.
I think it's CJ that we see shed like one tear, but everyone is very stoic, and I'm like, come on, there's so many people here, and I get that like most of the men, like fine, you're being strong and whatever, but there are so many people like somebody else would be crying.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Not that I want to be more emotional.
Well, you know.
So this episode was perfect, except for all the things that I have corrected.
No, honestly, it's so...
Everyone's going to be so mad that I said so.
We'll re-record this. No, honestly, it's so good, and I could just always sit down and watch it. It's the monologue alone and the ending.
I agree. The monologue does a big part of it.
It's just so good, and there's really not much more to say than to revel in it. So we're just making stuff up.
And that's
we're just winging it, guys. Hey-o.
Even when I say all of these things, even when I'm like, oh, this could have been different, this could have been different, it's still easily. I mean, I was about to say top 5, but 17 People is probably my favorite episode. But this is probably 2 or 3, and so the fact that I have all of these thoughts. They don't matter like when I'm watching it. It's so good still that I'm not like actually dwelling on
everything
that. You know
I just said up until this point, none of it matters. I just say that
thanks for listening,
thanks for tuning in, guys. We love you a lot.
None of it matters.
Gosh, it's true.
But really, I feel like I'm just picking everything.
No. We all deal with grief in different ways, Sallie, and it's flawless. It's like Beyonce flawless. I went there. It's her birthday.
I think also one thing I wrote down is that there's so much talk in general about how great the dialogue is in The West Wing, as well there should be, because it's all so great. But there are so many good moments that are literally just reaction
nonverbal
shots or just people. Yeah. And I mean, this episode specifically, just so many facial expressions. Like Martin Sheen, when President Bartlett's sitting in the Situation Room earlier on in the episode, and he's like trying to decide stuff.
He's killing it.
The acting in that scene is perfect, and I think that's what I have to list all of these things. Oh, I wish this happened. I wish this happened. I wish this happened. But everyone does their jobs so well in the episode that it's so far to say it makes up for it. Isn't even like it. It's just so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it would be one thing.
I can't even articulate it.
It would be one thing if it was just the writing that was good, or just the acting,
right?
Or just the way the feel and the flow and the direction of the episode. But everything was firing on all cylinders. Really, just masterful.
Right.
Love it. Love this show. I'm so glad we're doing a podcast about it. Oh man, guys, it's just. I mean, we would just sit here for 45 minutes and just go, Mrs. Laningham and the Latin and everything.
I feel bad because everyone's so excited about this episode, and I was so excited to record it, and really I'm just like, it's just so good.
It is.
What do you want me to say? The lighting, the music, the acting, the writing.
All the feels.
I don't know.
All of the feels.
There's so many moments that I can I don't know. Oh man, there are just so many good moments. There are so many. Like when Bartlett walks out on the thing and it's raining, and the first few notes of Brothers in Arms comes in, like the very beginning of it, and the look on his face there, the look, just all of it. Yeah. It's all of it.
Well,
I like it all.
Well, my computer's about to die, so MVP. I'm going with Bartlett. You can choose Mrs. Laningham if you want to. It's okay, but I mean, she was very important.
But I gave it to her last episode. I think you can pick President Bartlett, and I'm going to pick Martin Sheen.
Yes. I love that we have 2 votes.
Yeah. So, Yep. I know, right?
Phew.
So, that's it.
Sallie, 2 cathedrals. I mean, we can just have another episode of everybody venting about their feelings. I feel like people need a place where they can put it.
Let's do that.
Or you guys can send us email.
You email us, and we can have like a follow-up to Cathedrals.
We totally can.
For what you guys like thought we missed, I guess. Or like agreed with, disagreed with, etc.
Yeah, TheWestWingPodcast@gmail.com. Send us all the thoughts.
Yeah.
And you can tweet at us. And we're on Instagram @WingingItPod. We're also on Facebook. I don't update it enough. I apologize. But we do get messages from it. So if you're a Facebooker, great. Hit us up. Tell your friends. We're at the end of season 2.
Seriously, that would be really great. If we ever get any feedback, this is the episode to do it on. Which we do get feedback.
And guess what?
But I would like to hear more from this one. Yeah.
And we're heading into season 3.
Oh my god.
We're doing it.
That happened.
We're doing it, guys. We're really doing it. So there you go. Not one cathedral, but 2. And not
2.
One feeling, but all of them.
All the feelings.
So I feel like we should have a Latin sign off. I wish I knew enough Latin to say it and then not explain it and be like,
I know
get
no
it,
Latin.
guys? But I don't.
No,
so
I got nothing. I only know what I know from this episode. Oh, are we singing?
I just felt like it's the end of season 2. I feel like we have to have the music for that at least.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh. And then I was like, what's the name of the next episode? Which I already knew.
Oh.
But the next several episodes are so good too. Oh man. All right. Well, we'll see you guys in season 3 for even more of us just saying this is so good.
This is so good. Love Andrea and Sallie. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.